Oh, and thank you for joining us today. I'm here with the wonderful, beautiful Helene Golston, who's going to be teaching us how she chases joy. Helene is a seasoned Scleroderma warrior, and dare I say, she has been really one of the matriarchs of our community. I think that so many of us look up to her for advice and for courage and for inspiration because she has been living with Scleroderma for quite a long time and is a dynamo, has no qualms about telling it like it is, which is, so awesome too. So welcome, Helene. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Camille. I really appreciate you asking me.
Awesome. So you've been living with scleroderma for quite a long time. Would you mind just like we could start off by sharing about your journey and how it started and where you are now?
Okay. It started in 1996. I
Wow.
could actually go back a little bit to 95, where I just started feeling very fatigued, just for no reason. I was always very active, participated in yoga classes and aerobic classes, did a lot of walking. So I was physically fit and always healthy. Um, so to be tired just for no reason was very unusual. But I totally ignored it. And I did. And I couldn't attribute it to old age because I was only 45. So it was just, I was just tired. And I just made myself keep going and keep
Mhm.
going. And by early 96, I just became achy, just general achy. Um, I'm very close with my mom, and she said that, well, maybe you have arthritis because my hands were achy. She said, well, maybe you have arthritis. Maybe you should go see a rheumatologist. Arthritis runs in my family. My grandmother had rheumatoid arthritis. My mother has arthritis as well. And my fingers were starting to get swollen.
Oh.
So that was really the first symptom for me. I don't even think about the fatigue because it is what it is.
Hmm.
But the painful swollen fingers was a totally different, track for me. Um, so I said, well, yeah, maybe it is arthritis. I just thought I was too young, to have arthritis already. So I wound up going to a rheumatologist. Unfortunately, he was very young. I will come to be his first scleroderma patient. So I didn't feel like he was very well educated.
Hmm.
So he immediately diagnosed me with rheumatoid arthritis.
Because it
That
ran in
was
your
before
family and
before blood work or anything.
oh wow.
Yeah, he just said, "Oh, it runs in your family. It's very likely that you have rheumatoid arthritis." Um, and he put me on prednisone. So that was my downfall.
Hmm.
Honestly, it was.
Yep.
I was on it for about 6 months. And so this was February. By May, was only 3 months, um, my symptoms started getting worse.
Yeah.
By June, my skin got hard.
Oh.
So he knew right away this is not rheumatoid arthritis. And then he started doing all the panels, all the ANA panels, and there was no doubt that it was scleroderma. But my progression was so quick. So about 3 weeks after my diagnosis, my correct diagnosis, I went into renal crisis.
Hmm.
Now I attribute it to the prednisone.
Hmm.
Now that I'm educated
Right,
and I
right,
know what's going on.
right.
And not only that, within another year or two, I developed cataracts, which was also attributed to the prednisone.
Mm.
So I always tell people, if at all possible, avoid having prednisone.
Yep.
Now, I know it does help a lot of people. I know there are people who are on it forever. I just don't know how they can be. It
Right.
really messes with your organs.
Hmm.
So then he put me on methotrexate. So, amongst other things, he just started throwing medications at me because neither one of us knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never heard of it. I couldn't pronounce it. I couldn't spell it. It was back in the early 90s. There were no computers. Well, there was, if you could call those big giant
Yeah.
computers. No one had one at home. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So I went to the library and I started doing research at the library. And I didn't find anything that wasn't so negative and so debilitating to your spirit. I mean, it was like gloom and doom all the way. And I just kept saying, it can't be right. I can't have that. There's no way that I have a disease and that's going to kill me. Because basically their time frame was 3 to 5 years, and that's all the time you had. I just couldn't wrap my head around that and believe it. I just couldn't. So I think at that time, so that he stopped the prednisone, thank God for that, um, because it actually caused me a lot of trouble at work. I was still working,
Oh, wow.
but I was losing my memory. I couldn't remember things. I had a heart. My boss would come in and tell me to do something, and within 5 minutes, I would completely forget what she said.
Oh, wow.
So she realized there was something wrong as well. And I was working in human resources, which was very busy. I
Mm-hmm.
was constantly talking to people, taking notes, taking phone calls. It was a really rigorous job. Um,
Stressful.
Very stressful, yes. And it, everything was foggy. It was just things were just not working and clicking. He also put me on colchicine, depenicillamine. Um, Gosh, I was on so many medications by the time that year ended. And I just kept going downhill and downhill and downhill. Nothing was, the methotrexate didn't work at all. It did not halt, stop, or even slow down my progression. So probably within, by the end of the year, my entire body was hard,
Wow.
head to toe. Um, so obviously I had systemic diffuse scleroderma. And within a couple of years after that, I developed all the CREST symptoms as well. So basically, I guess I could say I have both localized and diffuse scleroderma. Um, but it's all systemic,
Mm-hmm.
So then they just started treating me symptomatically, which is where I am today. But in 1997, which was a year after my diagnosis, I was taking 48 pills a day,
Wow.
and I went down to 83 pounds,
Oh,
and I was dying. I knew I was. My doctor wouldn't tell me I was, but I knew I was. And I was seeing a nutritionist at the time, and he tried everything to make me gain weight, and it just wouldn't. I just couldn't. I tried everything. And then I became lactose intolerant, so I couldn't have, any of those products.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then I found out in 97 that I had a malabsorption issue in my gut, so I couldn't eat meat, which to this day I still don't eat meat. I haven't eaten meat in 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that lack of protein didn't help either.
Right, right.
And after several months, he said, I'm going to suggest something to you. I've only suggested to one other person who was in a similar situation. It wasn't with scleroderma, but she was deteriorating very quickly. And he referred me to a doctor of Chinese medicine. And she saved my life. She
Wow.
turned everything around for me. She took me off of all my medication except my renal medication because my doctor said, absolutely not. You cannot go off of that. That's something you're going to have to take forever,
Hmm.
which I still take. And I very, very slowly started gaining weight, getting my strength. At the time, I became bedridden. I was bedridden in 1997. I had to leave my job. Was able to get disability very quickly. It's not like now, back in the 90s, things were a lot easier.
Yeah.
So I was able to get disability very quickly within 6 months, which was pretty quick.
Hmm.
And in fact, my job was so wonderful that they put out a notice to all the teachers in the district. I was working in a school district for people to volunteer hours to me so that the period of time between being accepted and getting my first check was 3 or 4 months, I believe. And they donated enough hours for me to continue getting paid the whole time
Wow.
before my disability came in. And it was such a miracle. It
Yeah.
really was wonderful. So I'm very, very grateful for that. Um, I did go see a specialist outside of the city I lived in, and he was not helpful. I mean, he gave me all the right tests and he referred me to all the right people. He had a horrible bedside manner, and I just felt very uncomfortable with him. And he was the one that prescribed a medication to me where I had to take 16 pills a day of this medication, 4 pills 4 times a day. It was called Patoba, which nowadays I've never heard of anymore.
Yeah, I've not heard of that either.
Yeah, but it just made me more and more and more sick. So the Chinese doctor treated me with Chinese herbs, which I to this day have no idea what they were. A very, very strict vegan diet. Like I could eat 6 things. That was it.
Oh, wow.
And they had to be bought and cooked for each meal because I couldn't eat leftovers. I couldn't eat anything out of the refrigerator. Everything had to be fresh.
Wow.
So at the time when I was bedridden, I moved in. My mom took care of me. I lived with her. Mind you, I had 5 kids at home.
I was going to ask you if you, I thought that was the case.
Yeah, I had 5 children. Fortunately, except for one, they were all teenagers or older.
Hmm.
So they were basically taking care of each other. And the little one went to stay with his dad. We were divorced at the time. He was 9. He was the youngest, and the oldest was 25. So there was a big gap there.
Yeah.
Um, so I was with my mom. She cooked for me. She took care of me. I was so weak because I was, so thin and unable to do anything. I couldn't brush my teeth. I couldn't even feed myself. So she was my angel on earth, still is. She's 94 years old and she's still taking care of people. And so, yeah, that Chinese doctor saved me and started giving me red light treatments, acupuncture, like I said, all the herbs. I couldn't even drink regular water. She provided rose water for me, which was the only kind of water I was allowed to drink. And
Wow.
I did that for 6 months. And by the end of 6 months, I was doing a lot of physical and occupational therapy. I
Hmm.
basically had to relearn to walk.
Wow.
I couldn't walk up any stairs. I could barely walk on solid ground.
Wow.
So I had constant therapy, like 5 days a week. And that helped me build up my strength. I was doing occupational therapy. I started that immediately after my diagnosis because my fingers were already starting to curl because they were so hard. My son's best friend was training to be a nurse, and he was had joined the Navy, and he was doing occupational therapy on burn victims. And when he saw my hands, he said, I could do the same kind of therapy on you.
Hmm.
So he would come to my mom's house and do hand therapy on me. And I really believe he saved my hands. He really did. Of course, I've had over a dozen surgeries on my hands, including one just a month ago.
Yeah.
That's a constant. It's just something we have to just live with. But my hands are not bad. I mean, I can open and close them. I can't make a fist, but I can use them,
Right.
for whatever I need to. I've had all my joints fused on my right hand. Um, but he gave me the strength and the flexibility that I needed because I started so early.
Yeah.
So I had a therapist coming to my house 5 days a week. No, to my mom's house. And then, like I said, I gradually gained my strength. I was able to drive again. I still wasn't able to be on my own as far as things I needed to do at home and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, I wound up having to sell my townhouse because I couldn't go up and down the stairs.
Oh, yeah.
And I moved in with my oldest son and his wife, and they took me in for about a year, and which was fabulous. I moved from child to child. I think I've lived with almost every one of my kids at some point until I was strong enough to get my own apartment, um, which I did. By then, all my kids, except the youngest, was on their own.
Hmm.
They had graduated high school and they were all on their own. And it was rough. It was a really difficult, I would say, 4 years
Yeah. Sounds.
of constant therapy, new doctors, new medications. But thank God I've never had any lung issues. My heart has always been good. Um, Basically, my GI tract is the worst
Mhm.
part. My skin has softened tremendously, which I believe is just something that does happen on its own. Um, but I'm doing really well. I mean, I go to three exercise, two exercise classes 3 times a week.
Wow.
So I'm constantly moving myself and pushing myself to keep going. I
Hmm.
don't always want to. I don't always feel like it, but I go.
What gives you
And
the motivation? Like, what motivates you to keep going?
knowing that if I don't, I'll stiffen up.
Yeah.
Your body has to keep moving. And a lot of the exercises I do are sitting in a chair.
Yeah.
And people are always amazed that you can do exercises sitting down. You can do exercises lying down.
Right.
I mean, there's yoga for scleroderma. There's sitting exercises that anybody can do. You just do it at your own pace. And I've been able to work from 2 pound dumbbells. Now I'm up to 5.
Wow.
So I've increased my strength and my mobility, and my balance has improved greatly. There was a period of time where I was falling a
Oh,
lot. I've had 3 concussions.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I have fallen a lot, and it's been I think 4 years now since I've fallen. So I know that it has increased my mobility and has improved my balance a lot. So I would tell anybody, no matter what condition that you're in, whether you're bedbound or you can't get up out of a chair, do something.
Hmm.
Just move.
Hmm.
And there are so many exercises and YouTube videos of very simple exercises, but it doesn't matter how simple it is. Just do it.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm a big advocate of exercise.
Yeah.
Because even when I was feeling my worst, I was always doing something, even just doing finger exercises while I'm sitting. It just became normal for me to be constantly
Yeah.
moving my fingers, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So that's been very beneficial.
So
And
now,
now I take about 8 prescriptions,
okay.
for different symptoms. I don't take anything for the scleroderma. I haven't since 1997.
Okay.
So I haven't been on immunosuppressants or anything like that. I haven't. I mean, the drugs they're doing now were not available in the 90s.
Right.
So people now have so many options that I didn't have. All they had was methotrexate. That was it, and
Hmm.
prednisone. And I took both
Yeah.
to no avail. But that doesn't mean it won't help somebody else. It just didn't help me.
Right, right. Because everybody's so different. Like, you talk about all the time. I mean, we're unicorns. There's no scleroderma patient that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you still do the Chinese medicine?
I don't, but I'm a pescatarian. So
Okay.
I do eat a lot of fish. I would say just about every day, either for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, I eat some form of fish.
Oh, wow.
So that's my biggest form of protein.
Okay.
Um, and, you know, my lactose intolerance is not as bad as it used to be. I just don't drink anything whole milk.
Okay. Okay.
I do all the lactate milk. I can eat cottage cheese with no problem.
Hmm.
Um, and I do eat quite a bit of that because that also has the protein.
Right.
Um, I did shakes for a while, and I probably should go back and start doing more protein shakes because in the last probably 6 to 7 months, I have lost several pounds. So I know I need to gain them back again. It's so
Yeah,
easy to lose weight,
it is. I mean,
but it's,
when your body doesn't work the way it's supposed to, for sure. It's just, yeah.
I mean, I had issues with my teeth. I'm constantly having issues with my teeth. And in the process of getting a partial denture, I went literally a couple of months and I couldn't hardly eat anything at all.
Yeah.
So that's when I started, and that was earlier this year.
Hmm.
And I've just not been able to gain it back.
Yeah.
And I've been really I drink protein drinks, um, not doing a whole lot of good, but I feel fine.
Yeah.
I feel fine. I don't mind being underweight. My husband hates that I'm underweight, but I don't know what to do.
Right.
I can't make myself gain weight.
Right. And when you worry
So,
about it, I remember I have being in that same boat and being so stressed out about it, not being able to gain the weight that I lost when I first got sick and seeing a nutritionist and everything. And then finally I just said to myself, you know what? I'm able to get up and do the stuff that I need to do. I'm not fainting. This is
right,
causing me more stress than it's worth.
exactly.
So,
My blood pressure is good. My BMI is good. My pulse ox is good. My lungs are good. I need to concentrate more on all that good stuff
right. Right.
than worry about something that's the only way it's affecting me is my pants don't fit.
Yeah. There are worse things.
you know? So what do you do? I wear a belt.
So, what made you want to start your Facebook group? So you have the Adapting to Scleroderma group, which I just looked today. It has over 7,100 people in it. And this
Yeah,
is in how many years? Like three,
5.
5 years, 5 years.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
it really is.
So what
And
made
the
you want to
reason
start
I
it?
started it was because of COVID
Yeah.
and the fact that we couldn't meet as groups in person anymore. And I missed that just absolutely terribly. I think having that one on one connection or meeting with a group of people that have similar issues is so important.
Hmm.
So I said, I prayed about it. I said, Lord, if this is not the right thing, it's not going to work. And boy, did it work. I mean, it just was like fireworks. It started very small, and basically, I just reached out to people I knew And because I'd been to so many conferences and education days, I knew a lot of scleroderma people. Plus, I'd been a scleroderma support group leader since 1997. So I had 25 years of support group experience. And I said, oh, I could do this, but I don't know if anybody will be interested. And I did look up other groups. There weren't that many groups at that time. Now there's hundreds of groups,
Lots, yeah.
but it was minimal, and it was just they were just throwing out basic information.
Hmm.
They weren't getting to the heart. They weren't getting to the encouragement and
Hmm.
the support, and that's really what everybody was missing.
Hmm.
So I put it out there. I started it, and people just kept coming. And we probably get between 25 and 40 people a week
Yeah.
joining.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just in awe of having over 70,000 of 7,000 people.
Yeah.
And
And
it's a lot of work.
it is a lot of work. I mean, I see like just helping out, I'm like, oh my gosh.
It's a lot of work. You know, when it comes, I'm just one of those people that if it's your birthday, I'm going to send you a birthday greeting. So I get like 40 people a day who have birthdays. I said, I don't know if I should have started this or not, but I think it's important for that one on one connection, even though I don't know the majority of the people, like I've never actually met them in person. I still feel such a big connection because we share so much in common.
Right.
And I'm just blessed that so many people have so many positive comments about it, and that I see how much it has helped. A lot of people and their families. There are a lot of family members that join
Hmm.
because they want to know what is this. How can I help? And I think that's a very key point. Asking that question, how can I help?
Right. Right.
And I wish more family members would get involved actually.
Yeah. It
So
would.
I do it because I needed the connection personally. Other people needed support and encouragement and positivity, which you don't see a lot of in a lot of scleroderma groups. Everybody is
Yeah.
whining and complaining, and I wish people would ask more questions because they feel alone,
Hmm.
but we have so much in common. I mean, you can put 10 people with scleroderma in a room and we'll all have different symptoms, but we have the commonality of having scleroderma and we can relate.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh, I used to take that medication. Oh, I tried that exercise, or I was in that trial. There's so much going on with research now
Yes.
that we did not have at all before 2000. It didn't exist. So I was diagnosed the year that For Hope came out,
Oh,
the
that makes,
movie.
yeah.
And that gave me, of course, it scared me when I watched it, but it gave me a lot of information that I felt I needed. And even though it's hard to watch, I think it's an important resource for people with scleroderma and their families to watch it.
Hmm. Yeah, I do too. One of the things, one of the biggest things, well, there's several things that sets your group apart because you talk about the positivity and focusing, trying to focus on that and more helping people versus just kind of the dealing with the negatives. But the thing that impressed me the most about your group is that you allow people to share about their faith, and to post about their faith, which not all groups do. Actually, most
I
of.
know
So why did you choose to make that decision to allow that?
because as a support group leader, you're not allowed to talk about religion, politics, anything, worldly like that. It's just focused on the disease, and that's fine. But I figured this is my group. I have the freedom to do what I think is important, and my faith is very important to me. And you don't have to believe in Jesus or even believe in God to understand something inspirational
Hmm.
because it just touches your heart in a way that nothing else does. And I think it's important that people see what other people are going through. And actually, I'm shocked at how many Christians there are in our group.
Yeah.
I really was. But I also see how much they appreciate the fact that they can share their faith.
Hmm.
And I'm not just talking about Christianity. You, whatever faith you are, it doesn't matter, to me. I support everybody. We may not believe the same things, but that doesn't change the fact that I still love you as a person,
Right.
and I'm not going to debate your religion with you
Right.
because that's not my job, So I thought it was important because my faith encourages me. And I think it's important. I mean, it's just like every morning I post something little and I say good morning.
Mhm.
And I've often thought, is this important? And then I get responses from people that says, I'm so glad that you do that every morning because it really helps me start my day on a positive note.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to stop doing that.
Right. Right.
Sometimes it's hard to find things,
Yeah.
but I do a lot of research. And I just think it's important to start your day on a positive note
Hmm.
and to give people encouragement. And encouragement doesn't have to come from something religious or spiritual. You
Right.
know, people need encouragement in wherever they are in their walk, you know.
Exactly.
So I get a lot of joy out of that. I really do. And I don't let my joy be determined by my circumstances.
Yeah.
I'm a joyful person. I'm a positive person. I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist, but my husband says I see everything through rose-colored glasses, and I always say, so what's wrong with that? I don't see anything wrong with that.
Right.
Um, I'm not a half full or full glass person. It's you glove half full or half empty. I'm glad I have a glass. You
I
know what
love
I mean? So you just have to look for the positive. And that's what I've always done. I've never been a woe is me kind of person.
mhm.
I just try to learn from my circumstances and how I can make things better.
I love that. Has your perspective on your own scleroderma journey, like how has it been impacted by, or since you started the group? If it,
Oh gosh, I think scleroderma in general makes you more compassionate as a person. I never really thought a lot about being disabled or knowing people that were disabled.
Mhm.
And I don't even like that word, disabled, because it has so many meanings and different people find it. I just don't like the word. I like to focus on my abilities and not my disabilities. I know I'm limited and there are things I can't do, but
Mhm.
I don't focus on them. I focus on trying new things. If there's something, there are certain things that's like, there's no way I can do that.
Mhm.
It just isn't. I just know it, my limitations, but I don't let it stop me from trying something else. You know, the reason I named the group Adapting to Scleroderma is because we all have different ways of adapting to our situation. And I've learned that you need to first accept your situation,
Mhm.
accept that you have scleroderma. And then you have to adapt to it in any way. And that looks different in everybody,
Right.
whether it's adaptive equipment, wheelchairs, walkers, reachers, toilet seats, whatever. We have to learn how to adapt because we need to make our lives easier.
Right. Exactly.
And sometimes it's hard to ask for help.
Hmm.
It just is, it's in our nature to not want to ask for help. But I did learn how important it is to ask for help. And I mean, asking help from your parents, from your children, that is a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
To them, I was super mom. I could do anything. You know, I was working full time. I had 5 kids. We even took in foster kids. I was like super mom to them. And for them to see me in the condition, especially when I was bedridden, just looking at their faces, just broke me.
Yeah.
But they each one stepped up and they still to this day, well, they would do anything to help me in my journey. And I just so appreciate that. And I've learned to appreciate that for other people as well. The compassion element is so great now.
Hmm.
I just feel, even for people that don't have scleroderma, whatever they have.
Right.
Well, my best friend has, I always forget how to pronounce this. It's called TN. It's a nerve disorder in
Oh,
your brain. It's excruciatingly painful.
okay.
And, so I joined that support group just so I could learn more about it and be more compassionate and understanding towards that. And, I'm in other groups too, just because I want to learn more
Mhm.
about different diseases. It took a long time to learn about scleroderma,
Yeah.
and there are so many different diseases out there that you have never heard of, just wild things that you can't even imagine that happen to people. So I think my compassion has increased tremendously since having scleroderma for sure.
That's awesome. And I think I totally agree. I mean, I think that um if for many people, if you're not impacted by something, it just doesn't exist.
Right.
And so when it does, when you are hit with it and when it's, with whatever it might be, all of a sudden you kind of you notice everything. Like my husband is always laughing at me because I'm always so mad when I go to a store and I see like a disabled parking spot like 2 doors down from in front of the building. And I'm like, what good does that do me? What good does that do a person who's disabled? Like, which I would have never
Exactly.
cared about before, you know? So it's definitely it's an eye-opening experience for sure.
Yeah. And it's a learning experience.
Hmm.
I have a disabled placard and license plate.
Hmm.
But if I see a spot that's not a regular spot, not a disabled spot, I tend to park there unless I'm having a bad day
Hmm.
or it's 115 degrees, which is what it is. And, I just can't stay out in that heat.
Right.
But I try to be more understanding to someone who needs it more than I do,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know, because there are some really rude people out there that's, see you get out of a car and you're not in a wheelchair and you don't have a motorized scooter or whatever. And they say, well, you don't look disabled.
Hmm.
It's like, walk a mile in my shoes.
Right, exactly.
But you just become more understanding and more compassionate, more willing to help other people. I think that's really, really, I mean, everyone should be that way. But when it happens to you, it just becomes part of your life.
Right, right. So you have kind of a unique window into a lot of people's worlds who are struggling, with scleroderma from the groups when you see, because, so for your group it's a place like we were talking about that people go to express frustrations and issues and just, hardships that they can't necessarily always express to their families or to their friends or, outside of those groups. Um, and we see every day, people that are passing away from scleroderma, and it can get hard and heavy and scary. So on the days for you when the physical and mental toll is heaviest, what anchors you and keeps you moving forward?
Wow, that's a good question. Um, I get frustrated. I'm not a good waiter. I don't like waiting. um, today is a perfect example. I had to wait an hour and a half for a prescription that they were out of. Um, I've had a rash on my back for about 10 days. Itchy rash, no idea what it is, where it came from. And if you look at it, it doesn't even look like a rash. It just looks like a red blotch.
Hmm.
So it took me this long to finally, well, it took this long to get an appointment to finally get into the doctor. And the doctor didn't, she said, well, I don't think it's shingles. I said, I know it's not shingles. I've had shingles. It's not nothing like shingles. So she actually didn't know what it was. And she said, well, it's some kind of dermatitis. And I know what dermatitis is. It's just a red, itchy inflammation of the skin.
Hmm.
So general,
Yeah.
you know. Um, oh, so the waiting, let's go back to that. So I called my dermatologist first last Thursday, so a week ago. I can't get in to see her till September. Well, I'm pretty sure my rash is going to be gone by September, and I'll just cancel my appointment. But what does frustrate me and makes me angry is our whole medical system and the fact that one, you either can't get an appointment when you need one, or you have to wait usually months before you can get to see a specific specialist. Now, I had no problem getting to see my primary care doctor. That only took 2 days, but 3 months to see my, that's ridiculous to have to wait that long. Same thing when I go to the dentist, unless I tell them it's an emergency,
Right.
it's going to be 2 or 3 months. And by then, whatever I'm having is either really, really bad or it's gone.
Yeah.
And prescriptions, same thing. You have to wait forever. The prices of things are ridiculous.
Right.
Um, so I'm not good at waiting. I don't. I'm just not good at waiting. But otherwise, I'm pretty mellow. I don't let too many things frustrate me. I've learned to not be stressed out about things I have no control over.
Yes.
Of course, I used to be stressed out about everything, especially if it came to my kids or things in the house, or especially my husband. But I've just learned to take things as they come because I can't do anything about it.
Right.
You know, in my specifically for me, I just put it in God's hands, and I said, "You're in control anyway. Take it, because it's really freaking me out
Yeah.
or causing me stress, and I don't want it.
Right.
I've had to, take myself away from certain people because they were just stressful
Right.
situations. I can't let that bother me anymore.
Yeah. So, and I think I know the answer to this because you've kind of alluded to it, but what is the source of your courage and hope and joy, and how do you tap into it when you need to?
I've always been active, and when you experience a situation like being bedridden,
Mhm.
you stop taking things for granted. And once I started being able to move again, walking, driving, taking care of a household, um, I became even more motivated, to keep moving and keep finding new things to do, helping other people. That's a big one
Mhm.
to me. I do a lot of volunteer work. And to me, that's so helpful for my being, you know. Um, so just being around other people helps me. Being able to support other people helps me. Um, I've always been a very positive person. I just wasn't, why is this happening to me kind of person. I do question God a lot. Um, I do say why for certain things. I think everybody does, even if you don't believe, I think you say why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and, God has just been my source of joy and contentment. and positivity. And I don't know where I'd be without that, honestly. It just keeps me going, you know. Every morning I wake up, first thing I do after my bathroom stuff is, you know, I, I spend a little time in my Bible, and I just think that's an important way to start my day. And then I go on to start motivating other people.
I love that. So if you could speak directly to somebody who's really struggling in their journey today, what would you tell them?
I would say don't listen to the world. I would say don't Google. I would say go to a reputable site if you have questions about your disease or whatever symptoms you have. You know, go to the Cleveland Clinic, go to the Mayo Clinic, go to UCLA. There are so many great um, provisions out there where you can get really good, updated information about what you're going through. And to me, one of the most important things is talk to other people who are going through what you're going through or have gone through what you're going through because they know more than doctors. They really do. Because doctors know you're in pain, but they've never felt it.
Right.
And everybody's pain threshold is different also. I'm pretty, I have a pretty high threshold as far as pain goes. I've been through it all. And I think people need to understand what you're experiencing early on in the diagnosis of your disease doesn't necessarily mean you will always feel that way.
Hmm.
You know, there is such a thing as remission. I was in remission for 20 years. So I know that there's such a thing. My scleroderma has not progressed. I can't remember my last time I got a new symptom other than calcium deposits.
Hmm. That's awesome. That's
Everything has been stable. And I attribute that to way back when I saw that Chinese doctor.
hmm
She started my life over again, you know, and God directed me to her and she did her thing. And I'm confident that's why I'm still here. So I think it's important that you don't believe everything you hear. Your doctor doesn't know everything. You know, they practice medicine, you know, so they'll always be practicing. I think talking to other people who are going through what you're going through is epic important. It's really, and that's, you know, why we have support groups.
For sure, for sure. Well, thank you so much for, first of all, for just your contribution to our community,
You're
because
welcome.
you've created such a wonderful and safe space for people to come to learn, and to get support, for their journeys, which I think is just invaluable. So thank you for that. And just
You're
all
so welcome.
and
And
also
thank you for helping. You're part of that group. You're part of our team. And I really, really appreciate it. You have no idea how much I appreciate that.
well, I love being able to help out, so I appreciate being able to pitch in when I can to help.
And I'm glad you're doing this. I think it's important that people actually put a face to a name. And this is like a one-on-one conversation, but it could be go out to thousands of people, you
Yes,
know.
yes, which is my
So
hope.
I think it,
Which is my hope.
yeah, I really believe this forum is going to be great.
Well, thank you very much. All right. Well, again, thank you for your time,
You're
and
welcome.
we'll see you in the Facebook group.
Okay, that sounds good. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.